Well, blimey. Shiver me timbers and call me a monkey's uncle. Monkey's aunt. I haven't seen Liam Cunningham in anything since I finished watching Got a couple years ago. Yes, I was late to the Got train. Apparently he was in a movie called The Vault in 2021 and maybe a show or two in the past few years. Anyway, when me and my husband saw him in the trailer for the Last Voyage of the Demeter, we immediately looked at each other and knew we were going to see it. From that day forward, I just referred to this movie as the Sir Davos movie. That's Cunningham's character in Got. Like, hey, when are we going to see Sir Davos in that new movie? When we sat down in the theater and reclined our seats back, I clapped my hands together like a baby seal and said, oh boy, we're going to see Sir Davos. Well, Liam Cunningham did not disappoint, as we saw it the other night for my 27th birthday. For parts of this film, I was leaning back in my seat, hands over my mouth, ready for intense moments or jump scares that were very much earned. Keyword, earned. How does one earn a jump scare, you may ask? Simple. Good writing, a good story, people that actually care about the art they're making, talented actors, but probably all those things combined together. No spoilers ahead, but a brief summary of the plot is as follows. Captain Elliot, that's the captain of the Demeter, is stopping at port before continuing on to London with his small crew and personal cargo for some random people in London. He also has his grandson, Toby. Toby is his daughter's child, and it's implied that she's probably dead, leaving Toby an orphan. While at port, Captain Elliot must recruit 3 additional hands for the short voyage, as the Demeter is a bit short-staffed. One man, a doctor named Mr. Clemens, volunteers, but is turned down by Elliot's rude and cynical first mate, Wojciech. Well, after Mr. Clemens pushes Toby out of the way of a huge falling crate that's being loaded onto the ship, Wojciech relents and allows him to join the crew. The man who caused the crate to fall, one of the new recruits, saw a symbol on the crate and freaked the heck out. Then he's all like, "Oh, it's not safe, you'll all be dead soon," and just walks away. The first few days of sailing are seemingly normal until things start going bump in the night, and all the animals that were brought to be butchered for food later are viciously attacked and found dead. Things are kicked into high gear when members of the crew start being picked off one by one during night watches. While this is happening, a stowaway is discovered on board the ship by Dr. Clemens, a young woman encased in a crate of dirt and barely alive. He manages to get her to wake up after a while, and she starts talking nonsense about a monster on board the ship. She also says her creepy Romanian village volunteered her as food for the monster, and she was put on board by them against her will. At first, no one takes her seriously, and there's talk from Wojciech and the other crew members of throwing her overboard for being a stowaway. Well, after a few more bumps in the night and encounters with something lurking in the darkness, everyone finally comes around and starts listening to her. Since it was in on the trailers, I probably don't need to tell you that there's a vampire-like creature aboard, feeding freely on the crew at night. The rest of the film shows the crew and captain trying to figure out how to stop this thing, while also trying not to become its next victim. This film is riveting and exciting. I love the claustrophobia of being stuck at sea, in the middle of the ocean with absolutely nowhere to go, unable to escape and unable to sleep for fear of what may happen. The pacing is pretty good too, in my opinion. It's a pretty short movie though, and in the theater when I realized we had reached the halfway point, I disappointedly thought, man, I wish this movie was longer, with a bit more build-up and filler. Filler meaning character development, maybe more conversations amongst the captain and crew. I would have loved to hear more about the captain's daughter, and maybe hear what Toby remembers of her, or his father, who is never mentioned. There was a lot of development between Toby and Mr. Clemens though, which was very much appreciated on my part. That being said, with movies nowadays being so dang long, I can see the value in something short and sweet. Maybe the filmmakers did this on purpose, and I can't complain about that. Oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention was that the showtimes for this movie sucked. At most of our theaters, within a 30 or so mile radius, the only showtimes every day for this movie were 10:25 p.m. and we go to bed at like 11. So let's just say if it's a 2-hour movie, including the previews, that would get us out of there around 12:25 a.m. And this princess needs her beauty sleep. Finally, we found a theater about 50 minutes away, that's 50, that had a 4:25 p.m. showing. I think it's clear this movie is suffering a little bit from being in theaters at the same time as Barbie and Oppenheimer. I would not want to compete with that, but the Demeter is, which is pretty impressive, and another good reason to go see it. As for the ending, I liked it a lot, but you should check it out for yourself. You know, movie theaters are still recovering from the financial loss of COVID. Also, apparently nowadays, theaters don't even get to keep that much money from ticket sales. They make most of their profit from concessions. Someday, streaming might even replace going to the movies. I really hope that never happens, but so that's one of the reasons I still love going to the movies. It's such an experience, and rather than sitting at home streaming new movies, that just doesn't sit right with me. I hope that if it ever goes away, it's after I'm dead and gone. So if you have some free time this weekend, head to your local theater, grab a popcorn, and watch The Last Voyage of the Demeter, at least to Caesar Davos. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm gonna go escape.